who are really nervous about whether they can afford to go to the doctor or not. We have a complicated system. You know, people saying, okay, well, we're going to pay for treatment. Well, maybe yes, maybe not. Where do I get the treatment? We do not have a healthcare system. That's indisputable. And I hope and I believe that people understand that when we spend so much money for healthcare and we're so unprepared and so many people are uninsured, and we have pharmaceutical companies right now thinking, oh man, how can I make a fortune on this one? How disgusting is that? So it gets back, I think, to the kind of point that you make. What kind of nation do we want to be? Do we want to be a nation where we work together to address the problems facing the country, or a nation where the people on top continue to make huge amounts of money through greed and corruption?
I want to play something that Vice President Biden said along these lines and have you respond to what he said.
We have problems we have to solve now. Now, what's a revolution going to do? Disrupt everything in the meantime? Look, the senator talks about his Medicare for all. He still hasn't told you how he's going to ever get it passed. He hasn't told you how, in fact, there's any possibility of that happening. He hadn't told you how much it's going to cost. He hadn't tell you how it's going to apply. It doesn't kick in for 4 years even after it passes. We want a revolution. Let's act now. Pass the Biden health care plan, which takes Obamacare, restores all the cuts made to it, subsidizes it further, provides for lower drug prices, make sure that there's no hidden bills, make sure that we invest, I want to invest $50 billion in dealing with underlying diseases that are of great consequence, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer. Make sure that we have a Medicare option that's in a public option providing Medicare for us. We can do that now. I can get that passed. I can get that done if I'm President of the United States of America. That will be a fundamental change, and it happens now. I can tell you from experience, being a significant consumer of health care, with my sons, my family, all the things we've gone through. What people want is hope, and they need it now, not 4 years from now. And Bernie still hasn't told us how he's going to pay for it. We're talking about a $30+ trillion plan.
He's saying essentially, you know, people don't want a revolution.
People overwhelmingly in this country understand that healthcare is right. That was pretty effective, I think, in his part. He distorted virtually everything that I'm trying to do here. Is it a revolution to do what every other country on earth does and guarantee healthcare to all people? Is that a revolution? Is it a revolution to say to the drug companies, you know what? Can't charge us 10 times more for the same exact drugs as you're charging in Canada or in other countries? Is it a revolution to say that if you work 40 hours a week in the richest country on earth, you should not live in poverty? Is it a revolution? And by the way, to say that in the year 2020, when we talk about public education, it should include making public colleges and universities tuition-free and canceling all student debt. Now, what's interesting is that Biden has adopted some of the, this is what always happens. Suddenly today, Joe Biden is a free-spending socialist. My God, we're going to pay for everything.
But I'm not sure he would say he's a
that's what he was saying. Oh, no problem. But at the end of the day, that whole rhetoric from Biden that he can get it done, what is he getting done? He's basically, after all is said and done, maintaining the status quo in healthcare. That's what he's like, minor changes. And you know what the status quo is? He's talking about how I'm going to pay for it. Study after study showed that Medicare for all will cost us less than the status quo. His will cost $50 trillion over 10 years. Ours about $47 trillion. Under his proposal, which he's not going to change, the average American in a family of 60,000 pays $12,000 a year for health care. That is unbelievable. Our plan is substantially lower.
At this point, though, I hate to talk about sort of the politics of this, but we are in a presidential race, and in spite of this, it continues. At this stage, what is the path ahead for you?
Well, the path ahead is to bring as many people who do not traditionally vote into the political process. And that is young people, it is working class people who understand that we have a corrupt political system in which billionaires buy elections and make it easier for the wealthy to become richer while working class people are struggling.
That's been the argument you've made, understandably, and the idea of we're going to have this massive voter turnout, people who haven't been in the process. And in some cases, you've been able to do that with Latino voters coming in Nevada and elsewhere. Young people not coming out in the numbers. It's been disappointing.